Good morning, everybody. It's a bright, sort of sunny morning this morning in beautiful downtown Aurora, North Carolina. It's a little bit cold here for North Carolina, but it's going to warm up later in the week. My name is Dr. George, and this is my third program that I've done, so it's really exciting to be back with you again. I hope you can see my mask. This was made by one of our visitors, and it has some creatures on the front of it. I don't know how well you can see it, okay? And I'm gonna take it off because I'm more than 6 feet away from our technical man and museum geologist, Andrew Dishi. Thank you, Andrew, for being here.
Hello, I'm here for your questions.
Okay, so what we're gonna talk about today is really completely different from what we've talked about the last couple of visits. The first visit, we talked about microfossils, looking for tiny, tiny little fossils using magnifying glasses and even a microscope for the tiny fossils. And then next time we talked about how to identify fossils found here in Aurora, which come from the Nutrien phosphate mine right outside town. Today, we're going to talk about some really big fossils, really big animals that lived long, long ago. If you look on the table, you can see some of my friends that represent some of these fossils from long, long ago. And everybody knows what these are, the most famous fossils of all, the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were a big group of animals. They lived for hundreds of millions of years. The first dinosaurs were tiny little animals. One of the early ones was called Coelophysis, about the size of a chicken. And it lived about 225, 240 million years ago. And then over time, the dinosaurs evolved into a lot of different shapes and forms and sizes. The last of the dinosaurs lived about 66 million years ago. And some of those are the most famous ones that you know about. We don't really have dinosaur fossils where we live here in Aurora, North Carolina, because we were under the ocean during the time of the dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs are all land-based creatures, a type of reptile. So they lived from about 180 million years, from 240 million years ago up to 66 million years ago. Okay, I'm gonna take my hat off because it's kind of warm in here. Take it off. So, how do we know about the dinosaurs who lived so long ago? Well, mostly we find their bones. Dinosaur bones were very hard like our bones, and they have mineralized and been buried by sediment and preserved in the ground for millions and millions of years. Even though our museum mostly specializes in sea creatures that lived here in Aurora at that time, you remember from before, this is a mako shark. So here in Aurora, we're most famous for our shark's teeth and things like that, but we're not going to talk about that today. So you can go around. So the type of fossils that we have a few fossils of dinosaurs just because the dinosaurs are so popular and famous, even though they're not found right here in our area. Some of the dinosaurs lived through 3 major periods. The earliest dinosaurs began in the Triassic period, which ended, I think, about 190 million years ago. And then the next period was the most famous for people who like dinosaur movies, and that was called the Jurassic. In fact, you probably recognize my shirt here, Jurassic Park, with the dinosaur. This dinosaur is wearing my shark tooth necklace, which is from here. But this was a really famous dinosaur during the Jurassic. And then during the Cretaceous. The third period where the dinosaurs lived was called the Cretaceous, which went from the Jurassic up until the Paleocene, which started 66 million years ago. So what did the dinosaurs look like? There were thousands of species of dinosaurs. And I'm going to show you some representations of some of the most famous dinosaurs. Okay, this is one of my favorite. In fact, I have a big model of this dinosaur in my front yard, made from old farm equipment. Okay, this one doesn't want to stand up. There you go. So you probably recognize this one. It has some really distinctive features. It has spikes at the end of its tail, which were probably a weapon it can swing around. It has these big bony plates on its back, and it had a very small head and therefore a very small brain. And this, of course, is called the Stegosaurus. And I have a picture of a Stegosaurus here. These are some prints that we sell here in the museum gift shop and online. And this is a representation by an artist of a Stegosaurus. Okay? And you can see it has the spikes on its tail, and it has the big bony plates and the very small head.
Cannon tester. There you go.
Okay, this is the Stegosaurus. And of course, most depictions of dinosaurs just show their skeleton or bones because that's what's left of them that we can actually see. Okay, and another famous dinosaur is called the Triceratops. And Triceratops, the name really tells about it. The distinctive features of the Triceratops are tri, which means three, cera means horn, and tops means face. So it's a face with three horns, one in the middle and then one on each side here.
George, sit down so you can see.
So these are the horns. These are the two horns on the sides, and then there's one horn right here in the middle. And so this is called the Triceratops, or three horns on the face, is what that means. Okay. Another famous dinosaur, which I have a stuffed animal of, is called the hadrosaur. The hadrosaur is also called the duckbill dinosaur, okay? Because it has the face is shaped like a duck's beak or bill. So that's the duckbill dinosaur or hadrosaur. Okay, and let's see, some of the fossils we have of the dinosaurs are not all from that particular dinosaur. Let's see, I want to show you this one. This is the Acrocanthosaurus. And this one has very special types of teeth. It has very long, sharp, pointed teeth. Acrocanthosaurus. Those of you who live in North Carolina may recognize this dinosaur from the North Carolina Museum of Natural Science. It's on the top floor of the museum, and you can see it from way around the museum through the glass windows. So that's the Acrocanthosaurus. Now let's see. The dinosaurs can be divided into two big groups. The ornithischians have hip bones that are sort of like a bird, whereas the saurischians have hip bones that are shaped more like other animals, but not like a bird. Okay, and the difference is the shape of the hip bone divides them into those two main groups. Okay, now so let me show you a few of the fossils that we have here. This is a dinosaur egg. This comes from China. It's very heavy because it's completely replaced with minerals. It's on a piece of rock or matrix, and it looks like a big black or dark brown egg. This is a dinosaur egg from probably 100 million years ago, and it's from a sauropod. The sauropod were the biggest of the dinosaurs, and they were long-necked dinosaurs that were herbivores. Herbivores means they ate plants, whereas the Acrocanthosaurus that we saw was a meat eater. That's called a carnivorous or carnivore. So we had carnivores and herbivores, much like we have today in the animal kingdom. So that's a dinosaur egg from China, and that's part of the museum collection. We have another fossil. This is called a trace fossil, and this is also from a sauropod. Okay, this one came from the western United States. It looks like just a rock. It's just like a big glob. Okay, and so what this is called a coprolite. Coprolite is fossilized poop, and so this is fossilized poop from a dinosaur. And a lot of times when you see these, they've been sliced or cut in half and polished, and it makes a very beautiful piece to put on a shelf or something. So that's a coprolite of a sauropod, or a big plant-eating dinosaur. Of course, dinosaurs are famous for their teeth. This is from a Spinosaurus from Morocco, which is in North Africa. And I'll bring this a little closer so you can see it. You can see how big it is compared to my hand. So this is a Spinosaurus tooth, okay? And that's from a big carnivorous dinosaur, kind of like the Acrocanthosaurus that I showed you. Okay. We have one more dinosaur specimen. This is a very nice specimen from Mongolia in Asia. And this is actually a real claw and the first finger bone right here of a dinosaur. And this is from Mongolia. And this type of dinosaur is it's a theropod. The theropod were mostly the dinosaurs that walked on two legs. And this is called an ornithomimid, or a bird mimic. So it's something like a bird. Okay, and that's a very nice specimen there. Okay, so that's some of our dinosaur collection. We also have a really nice dinosaur footprint that's from the western United States. And the dinosaur footprints are very distinctive. They have 3 toes. So you see a print of 3 toes in the rock, and that's a dinosaur footprint. Okay, so dinosaurs are very popular toys. We have some little stone dinosaurs. I see a Stegosaurus, a big sauropod, an Apatosaurus, and I see a Triceratops, and another carnivorous dinosaur. Okay, so those are some that we have. The stuffed animals are very popular. I have a little collection of my own of those. And also we have toys, dinosaur toys. And this is one of my favorites. This is another carnivore. You can hear him roaring, and he can walk. Okay, that's enough, little George. You can stop now. George, that's enough. Okay. If everybody together say, let's stop, George. 1, 2, 3. Stop, George.
Stop, George.
Oh, good. Okay, so those are some of my favorite dinosaurs, toys of dinosaurs, stuffed animals of dinosaurs. And as we get toward the holiday season, I think Hanukkah begins today, just at Thanksgiving. And we have another holiday coming up pretty soon, in just a couple of weeks, I guess. About a couple of weeks. And so, I hope that my family's not too embarrassed, but do you recall the most famous dinosaur of all? What is it? What? Oh my gosh. Big George, what are you doing here? Okay, that's enough. Okay, everybody be real quiet. He'll probably go back to sleep. Don't make any loud noises. He's gone back to sleep now, but if don't yell real loud at us or he might wake up and start roaring again. So anyway, he's the most famous dinosaur, and he is Tyrannosaurus rex. All animals and plants have 2 scientific names. And the 2 names, the first name is called the genus, and that's Tyrannosaurus. Now Tyrannosaurus literally means terrible lizard. Okay, and then his second name, sort of like your first name, is Rex, R-E-X. And the first name is spelled with a capital or uppercase letter, and the second name is called the species, and that's spelled with a small letter, even though it may be named for a city or a person's last name. is still a small letter. So his name is Tyrannosaurus, terrible lizard, Rex. Rex means king. So he's the king terrible lizard. And he's the most famous dinosaur. As you see on my shirt for Jurassic Park, that's a T-Rex. And he is the most famous one. Most of the toys you see, these are both models. This is not a very good model because T-Rex didn't have spines on his back like that. I'm not sure what this one is, but that's a pretty good representation of a T-Rex. As you can see, he walked on 2 legs, and he's got tiny little legs or arms in the front. And so that's the most famous dinosaur, and that's everybody's favorite. But there were thousands and thousands of dinosaurs back in the period of the dinosaurs for those hundreds of millions of years. And the exciting thing is about dinosaurs too, they are constantly discovering new species. There were thousands and thousands of species, and we may have only discovered about 10% of all the species of dinosaurs. So it's a very exciting field and a very exciting part of paleontology. We don't have them here in Aurora, but we still love them, and we still, want to find out more about them. This is a good time if we have any questions about dinosaurs or about what we've talked about so far. Do we have any questions from anybody?
Actually, yes, and I think you may have just touched on one. One of the questions was, can we find dinosaur fossils at Aurora?
No, the reason is our fossils that we have here that we can get to only go back about 25 million years ago. And the dinosaurs, as I said, went extinct about 66 million years ago. So the material that we have here is not old enough that we can get to. And then the other reason is we were underwater during that period of time that I mentioned when the dinosaurs lived. Those millions of years ago, this was part of the ocean, we were underwater, and the dinosaurs are all land animals. Now, we did have mosasaurs here in this area. The mosasaur is not technically a dinosaur. It's a marine reptile, which means it stayed in the ocean, whereas the dinosaurs were all land animals.
And you might just have to repeat these questions because they can't hear me through that.
The first question was, do we have dinosaurs in Aurora?
The next question is, what animals today are the most related to dinosaurs?
I am so glad you asked that.
Repeat the question.
Okay, what animals today are most closely related to the dinosaurs? Okay, I'm so glad you asked that question because I didn't mention it in my little talk there. When we say that dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago, that's not quite true. 90% of the dinosaurs went extinct at that time, and of course that was caused by a huge asteroid that struck the Earth just off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. That caused a severe winter that lasted a whole year, and that destroyed the plant life and animals that depended on the plant life and the animals that depended on the animals that depended on the plant life. But 10% of the dinosaurs were able to survive. And these were the dinosaurs that were able to fly. So they were able to fly to areas that maybe weren't as affected. And so the 10% that survived became today's birds. There are over 10,000 species of birds. And so whenever you see a bird, even a chicken, a rooster, a little tiny bird, remember that those are actually dinosaurs. Of course, they've changed over the millions of years since the Cretaceous period, but they are still considered dinosaurs. They have 3 toes. They have a lot of other features that are similar to the other dinosaurs.
So you mentioned.
And so the closest relative to the T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex, is thought to be the chicken.
You mentioned that you can't find dinosaur fossils in Aurora, but can you find any dinosaur fossils anywhere in North Carolina?
There are some places where you can find Triassic fossils in the central part of the state. I've actually fossil hunted in Eden, North Carolina, which is up near Virginia, up the central part of the state, and they have found dinosaur prints there, and they are the more early dinosaurs from the Triassic period, which ended about 190 million years ago. So you can find some dinosaurs in North Carolina if you go to this specific area that I mentioned. So it's possible.
All right, and the last question, and repeat this one. What era did the largest dinosaurs live?
Well, the largest dinosaurs, they really became larger and larger, and I would say the Cretaceous was when we had the biggest sauropods. We had T-Rex, the biggest carnivorous dinosaur. So probably the latter part of the dinosaurs' reign, which was the Cretaceous era.
And repeat that question.
The question was,
What are the largest?
are there any dinosaurs that you can find anywhere in North Carolina? One thing I want to mention, one reference I used for my talk is this little book. It's called Fossils for Kids, and it's by Ashley Hall. She's a famous paleontologist who wrote this book, and this is available in our gift shop, and it's become a pretty popular online item also. It's called Fossils for Kids. And for kids of old ages, I actually reviewed her chapter on dinosaurs, which is excellent to help me prepare for this talk. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope we'll get together again soon. Not sure what we'll talk about, but there's so many interesting things here at the museum. And in paleontology, I'm sure we'll think of something. So have a great holiday season, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.